What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, MotoMid. I know I haven't been active on this channel for a while now. I think the last video I posted was maybe about a year and a half ago or more. I was actually planning to continuously post videos here, but you know how it is. Life got in the way and things didn't go as planned. But regardless, I'm back, and this time I'm gonna stay on course. Actually, during this time, even though I wasn't posting videos, but I was working on motorcycles. The last video I had here was about a 1996 YZF600. I finished the work on that bike and sold it. And after that, I also worked on 2 other bikes and finished those as well. And now I have the number 4 here, which I started working on just recently. But before I get to this one, I'm gonna get you guys up to speed with those other bikes. Even though I wasn't posting videos, but I did film the process on all those bikes. So I have footage. I decided to do a quick edit and post a couple videos on each one of those bikes. I'm not gonna bother you guys with too much details. Just a couple videos on each motorcycle so you guys can see the story and the process and the challenges, difficulties that I had with each bike, which actually was a lot. So first, in this video, we're gonna go back to a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago, and finish the build story of the 1996 Yamaha YZF600. About 2 years ago, I bought my first project bike. Before this, for a long time, I have worked on my motorcycles, even on the engines, but I had never bought a non-running motorcycle as a project bike. This motorcycle was a 1996 Yamaha YZF600, which was the first generation of this model. When I bought it, it had been sitting for 11 years. Cosmetically, it was in really good shape. All the plastics were intact. There were some scrapes and scratches on the paint, but other than that, it was in good shape. Bike had a clean title with the registration on non-op, so I didn't need to worry about paying penalties on it. After purchasing the motorcycle, I brought it home, took off all the plastics from around the engine, and before doing anything else, I needed to make sure that the engine is healthy. So I wanted to attempt to start the bike, even if only with the starting fluids. First, I took out the spark plugs. Except for some rust on the outside, they were all in good condition. Then I checked for spark, and we had sparks on all plugs. Then hooked up my compression tester and tested the compression on each cylinder, and all of them were within the appropriate range. So I knew that the engine is in good condition and the electrical system does what it's supposed to do. But I was sure that the carburetors need to be cleaned up, and most probably all the jets were clogged up or needed to be cleaned. But like I said, I wanted to hear the engine running, at least for a second. So with the starting fluid, I tried to start the engine, and the engine ran for a few seconds with no problem. And it actually sounded pretty good. After making sure of the health of the engine and hearing it running for a few seconds, I started pulling out the carburetors. Just like any other sport bike, carburetors on this motorcycle sit on top of the engine. After pulling it off from its place, I took it apart, cleaned up all the jets, floats, diaphragms, and cleaned them all up, and also cleaned up the carburetor bodies. Then put them all back together and put the carbs back on the bike. Then I reinstalled the airbag and the gas tank and attempted to start the bike. Unfortunately, bike didn't start. I knew that I had just cleaned up the carburetors, so the problem was not with the carbs, but definitely fuel wasn't getting to the carbs. So I removed the gas tank, connected my auxiliary fuel tank, and started the bike. Bike started with no problem. But even though the bike ran, I could tell that not all the cylinders are firing. After doing some tests, I figured out that cylinder number 4 is not firing at all, and bike was running on 3 cylinders. So I pulled the spark plug from that cylinder, checked the spark plug, checked the spark again, and also checked the compression one more time, and everything was okay. At this point, I thought maybe the problem is not getting enough fuel to the carburetors, because I knew on this bike fuel gets to the carburetors with the help of an electric pump. So I thought maybe it needs to be pressurized. Let's not forget that I wasn't experienced enough. So I went down the rabbit hole of figuring out how to get fuel from the gas tank to the carburetors. After testing the fuel pump, I was sure that it works. Then I realized that the fuel doesn't get past the petcock. So I removed the petcock, opened it all up, and realized that the vacuum diaphragm inside the petcock was broken. Then I ordered a repair kit. Once received, replaced the diaphragm and all other rubber O-rings inside the petcock, reassembled it, and then reinstalled it on the gas tank. Put the gas tank back on, connected all the hoses and electrical connectors, and started the bike. Bike started, this time pulling fuel from the gas tank. But still, cylinder number 4 was not firing. Since I had just tested the spark and compression and everything else on that cylinder, I was sure that the problem is fuel. For some reason, fuel wasn't getting to that specific carburetor. So once again, I removed the whole carburetor set, and this time I didn't want to take any risks. So I ordered a full repair kit for this carburetor, and I replaced all the jets, O-rings, and any other parts that needed to be replaced. Then reassembled the carbs one more time, installed it on the bike, and put everything else back together. This time, bike started and ran on all 4 cylinders. The problem was solved. All cylinders were firing and the engine was running very smoothly. Now that we had fixed the engine, we needed to work on the next important thing. Both front and rear brakes were completely locked up, so it was obvious that all calipers and master cylinders needed to be opened up and cleaned up. I removed all 3 calipers and took them apart. Inside the calipers were disastrously dirty. The old brake fluid was totally dried up and turned to a glue, and that's why all calipers were locked up. It took me a full day to remove all the pistons and O-rings and everything and clean them up properly using brake cleaner and compressed air. After cleaning, reassembled everything together again and reinstalled the calipers on the bike. The only good thing was that the brake pads were still pretty new and they still had a lot of meat on them, so I was able to reuse the old pads. After reinstalling everything, filled up the brake systems with new brake fluid and bled the brakes. Both front and rear brakes were working perfectly. Now that the engine was running and also we could stop, for the first time I took the bike out for a quick ride around the block. The ride was very nice. But my joy didn't last long. Unfortunately, the last day that I worked on this motorcycle, I had forgotten to shut the garage door completely. Someone had made their way to the garage. They stole one of my motorcycles, which was a Yamaha YZF600, and also stole whatever else they could find. A couple cameras, my helmets, and some other stuff. Among those, my keys to the other 2 motorcycles were also stolen. And that created a problem that took me a few weeks to resolve. For the Honda Goldwing, it was easier. I was able to find the key code on one of the locks, ordered it, and after a few days I had 2 keys for it. but unfortunately that was not the case for the Yamaha YZF. I could not find a key code on any of the locks, and so I had to become creative and find an unconventional way to make a key myself. I removed the ignition lock from its place, and to access the actual lock cylinder, I had to drill out the rivets around it. After accessing the lock cylinder, I ordered some blank keys for this bike and slowly started filing the key to the proper shape. I did this work based on some YouTube videos that I had watched. I wasn't sure it's gonna work, but I wanted to try. After failing the first time and messing up one of the blank keys, the second time it worked, and the key I made was able to turn on the bike. Now that I had the key again, there were still some less important stuff that needed to be done on the bike. Tires on this bike were very old, so I removed both front and rear wheels, took them to a shop, and had them to put on new tires on it. And then I started reinstalling the fairing on the bike. After months, the bike was starting to look like a proper sports bike again. After finishing putting the fairing back on the bike, I took it out for another ride. And while riding, I noticed two other problems. First, the fuel alarm light was on even though the gas tank was full. And second, tachometer was jumping around. After doing a bit of research, I found out on these models there's a diagnostic system installed which uses the tachometer to show the codes. For my case, the tachometer was jumping between 3,000 and 8,000, and after looking it up, this code was related to the problem with the fuel sensor. So both the fuel light and the tachometer code were related. After doing some testing, I was sure that all wiring and connectors were good. So the only thing that could cause this problem was the sensor inside the gas tank. So once again, I removed the gas tank, pulled out the fuel pump package, which the sensor was also connected to it, removed the old sensor, which was a small resistor, and soldered back a new resistor that I had ordered for it. Then reinstalled everything back, and the problem was solved. Now that all the mechanical work was done on the bike, I wanted to make it cosmetically look good as well. The paint was in decent shape, but after years of sitting in garages and under the elements, it could use a good polish. There were also a bunch of scratches everywhere on the bike, so I had to fix that. First, gave the bike a good wash, and then polished all the painted areas. I also polished the exhaust system and other metal pieces with some good metal polisher. Except for a couple of small patches of rust on the swing arms, there was no rust on the bike. So I removed the rust from the swing arms and started touching up the paint. I bought some touch-up paint for this bike, pearl white, silver, and a special purple that I had to order online for this bike specifically and wait for it for more than a week. All scratches were touched up. I also had to repaint one of the mirrors that needed to be repainted. So I removed the old paint, taped it off, and painted it with a very close spray paint that I found. The last thing I had to do was on the rear end of the bike. Somebody had cut and removed the rear fender of the bike, which had made it very ugly. And with the removed fender, the license plate mounting plate and the original rear signals were gone too. So I removed these ugly aftermarket turn signals, found a decent looking bracket that could solve all of my problems. This bracket could be used for mounting the license plate. It also had a light for it, and it even had mounting places for the 2 turn signals. Now this bike looked the way that I wanted it to. I hope that you liked this build and this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe.